G'day guys, it's Kane Pollard here from the Topiary. So I'm going to run you through our stroll menu that we're rolling out for our first menu since opening. It'll change within a couple of weeks once mushrooms are all done, but the one you're going to see today is current and will be for the next couple of weeks. So starting from the top, we've got our house-baked sourdough, and we're going to do a skin and bone soup as well with that, so something warm and hearty to welcome you through the doors once again. Following that, we're going to have some snacks rolled out. We've got a salted celeriac with white sardine, cultured cream, and some cured yolk grated over the top, which we made a celeriac salt sugar curing mix and cured the yolks in that, so it all comes together quite well. We also have our fresh and fermented watermelon radish with a whipped Persian feta cream in the centre and some garden chives to garnish. And then last we have a caramelised persimmon leather that's been rolled around our nature's chicken liver parfait, and then that's been tossed through some spent mother crumb and garnished with some rosemary flowers. Next course is our potato and pine mushroom. This one is built to showcase the delicate flavour and the intense colour of the pine mushrooms that we foraged while we're out. So we've got some super thin layers of potatoes from the market. We've made an intense mushroom stock and pine mushroom oil. We've put that between all the layers, slow cooked and pressed that. That gets some pan time, so it caramelises on the bottom, gets that crunchy potato goodness happening. Sort of reminded me of like barbecue potatoes. You got your crispy outsides and then your soft tender centre. And we got some thin sliced pine mushroom laid over the top of that. That gets baked, drizzled with the intense pine mushroom oil, and then sat on what we call our pine mushroom custard. The next one also represents the day that we're out and about. It's called Cockles Cabbage. We stopped by Goolwa and did what we call the pippy shuffle. Got shuffling in the ocean there, and we grabbed a few pippies just to play around with back at the restaurant. Once we were happy with the product, we got in touch with Goolwa Pippy Co and decided to base a dish around the cockles. So these ones have been steamed open. We catch the juices that come out, the seawater, and we acidulate that with a little bit of whey champagne vinegar, which is made from the whey left over from making our cheeses. That's gassed and turned into what we call our sea foam, and that acts as the garnish for the dish. The cockles are then lightly pickled and served with a couple of different varieties of brassica. We got some fermented kohlrabi, and we got some flash fried kale, some blanched purple Brussels sprouts, and then we finish it off with some of the cold pickled samphire that we picked that same day as we went cockling, and some society garlic flowers from our garden. This one's a bit of fun for us. It's called a pork banoffee. So we've taken the idea of a banoffee pie and replaced the banana element with parsnips. They've been lightly poached in a slightly sweetened root veg syrup, and then slowly dried in the oven to resemble the texture of a banana. They've been caramelised in a pan, sits on top of whatever cut of pork we have that day. Gets drizzled with a root veg caramel and finished off with some crispy fried parsnip chips. And then to replace the pastry part of the pie is our passion fruit daisy puff pastry, which was sort of crumbled up and in shards and popped it on top, and then garnished with some of the passion fruit daisy leaves and flowers from our courtyard garden. So this one's, up front it's a little bit on the sweet side, but then the savoury saltiness, the way that the pork's been brined and cooked, that helps level it out a little bit. And it's one of those super enjoyable, like you think it's going to be too sweet when you see it, but once all the flavours come together, it's balanced quite well. So the Forest Floor Macaron is our pre-dessert course. It's inspired by our walk through the forest, and the slippery jack mushrooms are often the hardest ones to find because they're the same colour as the dead pine needles on the ground. So for this For this macaron, we've got a slippery jack macaron base, and then we've got a pine mushroom buttercream in the centre, and then we've dried and ground down some pine needles and dusted that over the top to finish it off. The campfire marshmallow is one that we went out with the team a couple of years ago and lit a fire, picked some mushrooms and toasted marshmallows over the fire there. And the idea of a dish looking literally just like a toasted marshmallow on a plate was a little bit exciting, and being able to hide whatever you want under that, and to cut the marshmallow quite wide and torch it so that it encases it, leaving everything inside for you to discover yourself. It was really exciting. So the layers inside, we have a courtyard kumquat cakes that have been whole boiled, pureed down and put through a cake mix. That's been cut out into a circle and hollowed out. We've got a citrus curd layer first, then we've got a black lime, so dehydrated lime mascarpone layer on top of that. We've got a roasted almond praline for a little bit of crunch, and then we've got a mandarin marshmallow that lays over the top before being torched to finish it off. We are trying to manage our menu and make sure that there isn't too much wastage, so we've decided to roll with a tasting menu during lunch and dinner. We've spent the last couple of months during partial closure developing the menu around the experience we were having at the time, and being able to have that extra time to hit the road as a team and to do more foraging and more menu development, more learning together. So we feel that this tasting menu that we're going to be rolling out is a good way of capturing all those bits and pieces that we've picked up along the way.